Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. So if you've watched these before, you know I'm going to ask. Please use the chat and let us know where you're tuning in from. I'm in Seattle. Seattle, yay. Sometimes Seattle, the people do not like jump in immediately to say where they're tuning in from. So represent. Thank you. We'll let a few more people get tuned in and then we will get started with our conversation. All right. Give it a few more minutes if anybody else wants to jump in and say where you're watching from. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started then. Hi, I'm Laura Hamilton. I have a cookbook shop here in Seattle, Washington. I'm actually in it right now. This is kind of one of the shelves of books behind me. And I just want to thank you all for being here today. We are slowly getting back to doing cooking classes and author talks in our space. And for the time being, we will continue doing these Zoom talks as well, because it gives us the opportunity to have conversations like the one today, where the author and the interviewer are on different parts of the world even, and all of you are tuning in from all over the place. And I just think that's been one of the best parts. If we can look for an upside in what this time has brought us, this is one of the good things. I am so delighted to welcome Chetna Makan. She is the author of so many cookbooks. Many of you will have probably first become familiar with her through the Great British Bake Off, but since then she has authored, I think this is her fifth, it might be her sixth book, and has an awesome YouTube channel. But we are here today to talk about Chetna's 30-Minute Indian. She is going to be in conversation with Food 52's Brinda Ayer, and they are, of course, going to also leave time for your questions. So if you can please just use that Q&A button at the bottom of your screen if you have any questions for Chetna. We will get to those sort of towards the end of the talk. You can support the talk by purchasing the book from Booklarder. I will drop the link into the chat so that you have easy access to that. And of course, thank you so much to all of you who've already done that. The talk is being recorded today, so we will send the link out to that to everyone who signed up for the talk. And of course, it will be available on our YouTube channel. All right, so without further delay, please join me in welcoming Chetna Makan and Brinda Ayer.
Hi, everybody. It's so nice to see you. I'm really excited to be speaking with Chetna, who is a very accomplished cook and baker and 5-time cookbook author. And so today we're going to be talking about Chetna's 30-Minute Indian, which I have right here. But Chetna, I would love for you to kind of start by telling us about your motivation for this book, what inspired you to write it, and yeah, maybe just like give us a little bit of a recap of just what's been going on for the last couple of months for you since it's come out.
Right. Hi, everyone. And so nice to be talking to you, Brinda, today. God, this book actually came out, was a result of the lockdown, because as soon as lockdown happened, like for everyone else, things kind of literally stopped mid, whatever we were doing. And I remember I was at a shoot the day before the lockdown, and then next day we were told we can't, that's it, we have to stay home. And it was just, we were all in the same boat. So it was what to do. And that's when I started, already had a YouTube channel, but I thought, okay, that's it. This is a good time to inspire people to cook different kind of meals, easy meals, lovely meals at home, because I could see my friends, we were all on WhatsApp because obviously we couldn't meet. And everyone kind of thinking, oh my God, everyone's at home. What do we cook? And meals were becoming more and more important parts, exciting parts of the day, like point of the day. And yeah, so I was doing a lot more YouTube for 6 weeks. And then I thought, okay, that's it. I have to stop. And then work started beginning again. Things started getting back to online again. And that's when I thought, actually, by that time, I realized that a lot of my friends and on social media, I realized that people, the feedback I was getting was they still want good food, but can we do like a shortcut of something quick, is what was the demand and the feedback. And I thought, actually, because a lot of people cook for joy, which is, great, but sometimes obviously they're working, and once the work got back on, it was difficult to have that extra time. And that's when I started writing the book. My kids were still at home, like schooling from home. And it was quite a fun project, because this is the first book where I didn't step out of the house while I was writing it for any inspiration. So it had to come from whatever I knew about food, whatever I could remember from things I enjoyed. And yes, this is my fifth book, but every book I do things that I would enjoy eating, because I think your personality has to come in, because otherwise it doesn't attract people. I think it needs to be you're full of love. And that's why I don't do kind of lamb and meats and things, because I don't eat that much. So I just eat chicken and fish, which is why you don't see any other meats in my books. And then it was just literally trying to think and get creative. And my kids were kind of quite helpful, because they knew my deadline, they knew what I was doing, and they were like, okay, so what have you made today? How many have you done? Have you done this many? And so they were like my they were keeping a track on my progress, and obviously they were eating what I was making. So it was quite a fun project to do, but it was purely done in the lockdown. And a year later, it came out when we were just kind of coming out of our second lockdown. So I think people were ready for quick meals by that time.
Absolutely. I remember myself the first couple of months, obviously terrible things were happening outside, but it was so nice to, be at home, be able to put a cake in the oven between meetings, making dinner each day an event, rather than just something to sustain you. It was nice, and then it, extended a little bit too long for my liking, but I would love to hear more about the process of putting together this cookbook. I think you write in your introduction that, so much of Indian cooking is understood as developing, very long cooked flavors, slow simmered flavors. I remember, my family comes from India as well, and although a different part than I believe yours does. I remember seeing my grandmother, standing in front of the stove for most of the day, checking on various soups and curries and stews. And I wonder, how did you start to think about how to compress the time, but keep all of that really wonderful flavor? Just kind of dispel the idea that Indian cooking is only really laborious.
I think because I've grown up watching, you must have done the same, like watching my mum and my aunts and my other kind of family members and neighbors, all sorts, cooking all the time. And it was just a thing where women always cooked, and they, obviously things are changing now, but that's what I grew up with, where the, kind of fathers and men didn't really go into the kitchen. So mums always cooked, and not many women were working. Like I don't remember many of my aunts working, and they are all housewives, which is, a full-time job, I understand. But other than big festivals or big gatherings or special occasions, I never saw them being in the kitchen full time. And my mom used to still makes like every meal fresh every day. So if I'm making something, I make enough for 2 or at least 3 meals, or, so I'm not shy to say that, because come on, you're putting in effort, and why not make an extra couple of meals out of it? But she never does. And it's always just enough for lunch, and then a separate meal comes out at dinner. And I always thought that, okay, this is really quick, and she's just done, and the dal is ready, and then, literally put that flour and rice in, and flatbreads are ready, and then rice is ready. And obviously when I moved here things have changed so much from when I moved here 17 years ago till now. And my friends didn't know real Indian food. And, I had to kind of introduce things to them first of all, I did the healthy Indian because they all thought it's greasy and it's, Friday greasy food. And I was thinking, what? That's not how I eat every day. And then I think this was such a good time to tell people that actually, though there are, yes, a lot of recipes that take hours, days, fermentation, dosa, and all these example, but our everyday meals are quite quick to make. And I think I didn't actually have to compress. The only thing I had to keep in mind that I couldn't use lentils like black lentils or soak chickpeas overnight. So I had to use tin chickpeas. I had to use red lentils that cook in literally 10 minutes. So that's the thing I had to keep in mind, using the right lentils and not using things that need overnight soaks and things. So other than that, I didn't have to really change a lot of the processes in the recipes.
Yeah, I feel that I completely hear that. I think with some great fresh vegetables and the right spices and, aromatics that you have lined up, you can kind of make a sabji out of just about anything. And it tastes really good and it's done in 15, 20 minutes. I guess to that end, when, folks who are approaching the book and your whole suite of cookbooks in the first place start to, buy the ingredients that they need, what would you suggest people pick up as their, fundamentals, the spices, even the kitchenware and other tools that they might need to get started?
I think you don't need too much. And I'm very conscious of the fact when I do write recipes, like I've not done an idli recipe yet, because I think idli maker is not easily, available. You really have to go on kind of places like Amazon and things. And, I don't want to kind of do that. So yeah, I think for everyday food, you just need a nice, a thick bottomed wok or a pan with a nice lid, because you need a lot of kind of cooking which requires a lid. So I think basic that. Also, like a frying pan, a flat frying pan is great for making flatbreads or for making sabjis, or for making kind of tarkas for lentils and things. So I think that's a very good tool to have. So I think cooking wise, I can easily do with these two things in my kitchen. I wouldn't need anything special for it. And rolling pin, I think, but that's also not important. If you've got a wine bottle, that'll do. But you know what I mean? The main thing is the two pans. And when it comes to spices, obviously, the more, the better. But for everyday cooking, you just need your basic, my spice box, which all Indians have, masala dabba. I've got 7 spices in it, which is salt, chili powder, turmeric, a bit of ground coriander, garam masala, and then it's got cumin seeds and mustard seeds. And I can prepare any meal with that. Of course, and then that's your basic, I would say. But on the side, additional would then come like cinnamon sticks and, cardamom seeds and bay leaf and stuff. But if you are new to Indian cooking, then that 7 spice box is a perfect place to start, get used to it, and then slowly add a spice at a time to your spice box. But those 7 should be plenty for you to get into Indian cooking.
Yeah, I think, of course, depending on where you are based in India, I think those 7 might change here and there. Like black mustard seeds are something that we use in South Indian cooking a lot more, but the 6 others or 5 others are exactly the same. So it's super consistent in some ways. Great. Well, I would love to kind of turn to talking a little bit about your YouTube. I know that you mentioned it as we were getting started on the conversation, and I know that was a great way that you have been sharing some of your recipes. Can you tell us a little bit about how you decided to start it up, what the process has been like, any surprises that you might have come across as you've been creating videos for that?
I think YouTube has been, for me as well, it's been a pleasant surprise because I wrote my first book, Cardamom Trail, which actually has just come out in new edition. But I finished the book, and then I didn't know what to do with myself because, I was still not working with in print and, things like that. I wasn't working with other publications. I just finished the book. I was very new to the industry. And then I had all this time. So I spoke to a couple of people and said, oh, what do you suggest I should do? I could do next. And they said, why don't you go online on YouTube and things? And obviously TikTok didn't exist, and Instagram was, I was just very new to Instagram, but Instagram obviously has grown so much more in the last few years. Food wasn't big on Instagram as it is now. And they said, go on YouTube, have a think. And actually I thought, I always think, and I am here because that's how I think. If you're not going to try, you'll never know. So you've got to try and see if it's something that you like. And that's how I entered Bake Off in the first place. But so I started the channel and I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it properly. And I hired a cameraman, I hired an editor, and we used to do recipes once a week, post a recipe. And that actually, it's something that I've continued because I really enjoy it. That is one format, as in I love the books, absolutely love doing the books, but YouTube is something very different to books. Like I've posted something today, by evening, a few people, if it's the weekend, have actually already cooked it. And, I've shared pictures, and then they'll send these lovely messages, and it's just instant. And you connect to this group of people who are based all over the world. So even people in India are cooking my Indian recipes. And I think I just find that amazing, because I understand that when I am cooking Indian food, I'm thinking I'm talking to people outside India, but the Indian viewership has grown so much recently. And I just think, and when they compliment me for the recipes and food they've tried, yeah, I just feel really, really happy. But lockdown changed things because the cameraman couldn't come home. And so 2 years ago, when things kind of halted, I thought, I just bought a new phone at that time. And I thought, that's it. My kids said, we can film it and things. And that's it. The kids started filming the videos. So for last 2 years, I haven't had any camera guy or editor, and I just started doing everything on the phone. So it's all done on the phone. It's shot on the phone. It's edited on the phone. And I'm not a very technical person, so I keep it quite simple. I want it really simple and easy. I don't want to, if I wanted to become an editor, I could have done that, but I don't want to become an editor. You know what I mean? Just want to keep it simple. So it's been really lovely. And I love it because the kids are involved and they enjoyed it so much in the lockdown. And even now they film it after they come back from school and they don't complain. It's not like loads of stuff. It's just because I share just one video a week. It's one or two now, actually. It's been quite fun. And I think I'm going to carry on like this till anything else changes. But I'm enjoying doing it all to myself, because now if I'm making dinner and I think, okay, actually, I think people will love this, I'll just film it. So it's just literally, I don't look at trends. I just cook anything I feel like cooking. And I want to keep it like that because I don't want to get into what's popular right now. I don't want to get into that. That's not what I started this for. So I want to keep it a place where I really enjoy, sharing stuff.
I think that just it sparks so much more creativity and joy, and people can see that in all of the videos that you do. It is truly watching those videos. It's like having you in our kitchens with us cooking, which is, I think, such a lovely thing to way to spend time with people from all around the world. Are there any YouTube recipes that you decided to share in the book, and vice versa? Did they sort of work together in inspiring how you were writing and what you were writing?
I think definitely YouTube helped with the 30-minute Indian, because YouTube, I try and keep it very simple. And I think that kind of helped me put this book together. But I try and not share. So because I do, it's my fifth book. So so far I've done one book a year. I don't want people to spend their hard-earned money and then realize that actually, hang on a minute, she's already done that recipe. So, that's, I don't want that, because I wouldn't like it if I bought a book and I'd already seen it on YouTube. So no, none of the books recipes are, there could be slight variations, but they're not done on purpose. Maybe but yeah, I try and keep it all fresh and kind of new, so that if somebody is buying all my books, then all of them are different, are new, and there's no repetition involved.
That makes a lot of sense, and it's very considerate, because I think in the world of sort of digital media and book selling, it is a bit of a game in bringing people in. But I really think that cooking from the heart and sharing people what you're genuinely interested in is it's such a kind and like lovely way to share your work. So thank you. You mentioned the Cardamom Trail, and I would love to talk about it a little bit, because it is it's being re-released this month, last month?
Yes, this month, yes.
About this month, that's wonderful, yes. So that book is of course baking focused, and I think it took place, it came out in 2014.
Yes.
I believe.
Oh no,
right.
it came out in 2016 actually.
2016. Okay. Oh, sorry. So I'm sorry. The your semifinal bake-off season was in 2014, yes. And then okay. So did your time in the tent have sort of an impact on you deciding to write this book, or have a relationship with how you conceived of the book? And I would love to hear a little bit more about that.
Oh, it was 100% based on Bake Off, because not recipes based on Bake Off, but I entered Bake Off, it was in my field, and obviously Bake Off can only be done if you're amateur cook or baker and you haven't done any training in baking or worked in a kitchen and all that stuff. And I had done none of that. And I literally, I was just a fan of the show. So I applied to the Bake Off, got in, to my surprise. And once that finished, there was talk about what everyone will do, all the competitors. We were very close friends, and some of them wanted to do books. So I think out of all of us, 4 or 5 of us did books. And because this whole twist of recipes that I did on Bake Off with a little bit of Indian spices or Indian twist to it was so well received, I thought I have to kind of approach people, publishers, if I can write a book. So that's how, after a few months of trying to get a contract for the book, I did finally get the book commissioned. And yeah, so obviously it's a baking kind of baking book, but it's not a completely baking book, because it's got lots of recipes that are just Indian snacks and Indian food. So as though it is mainly a baking book, it's not 100% baking book. And it's got like, so it's like, example, it's got like dal kachori, which is like lentil filled kachoris, which technically is not baking. But yeah, so it was really hard work, because I didn't know how to write a book. I didn't know how to write recipes properly. It was very new. Everything was new. So it was kind of learn on the job project, which I guess anyone writing a book, the first book, it has to be the same, because they have to learn somewhere. And it was quite fun to write, because I could really experiment. I'm so proud of this book. Especially because it was my first book. See, if I did 30-minute Indian, my first book, it's what I've been grown up with, but this is not something I've grown up with. So it was completely new to me. So I'm really proud of what I achieved in this book. Yeah, it's got some really kind of unique flavor combinations, because just like a tomato and paneer loaf, things like that. So just like a loaf with paneer and tomato, just things that you wouldn't think of semolina cake, or that wouldn't come to your mind straight away. But put together, they have turned out very, very nice. Saffron brioche buns. I love these. Need to make them again. Yeah. So yeah, that's how this book came about. So it was only because I went off Bake Off that this happened.
I mean, I'm so glad that it did. It is truly such a special book, and you can tell, how much, how much love and patience and also again joy went into the making of it. I wonder if, looking back on it now, all these years later, there are still some favorite recipes from the book that you continue making that are always your go-tos that you'll memorize by heart just because they're so part of you now.
I think one of the recipes, which actually I shared on Food 52 as well, was the Pear and Cardamom Trail cake. And actually, so many people have made it after watching it on Food 52 recently. I even today, I got 4 pictures on Instagram sharing the cake. So this is something I do make a lot because it's quick, simple, all in, and it's kind of ready. And everyone loves it. This is a cake that's quite easily one of my favorites. And another one is the mango coconut cake, which a lot of people have baked over the years, which is quite nice. And the pistachio cardamom cake is another one. So there are some of these recipes that I tend to make a lot. One of the questions my kids asked some time ago, actually, not recently, that you wrote the recipe, why don't you remember it? And I said, because I've written quite a few now.
You've written like 500 recipes and counting. Oh boy.
So, I don't really need recipes for making basic cakes or Indian food. Absolutely not. But for something like a bake, I definitely, one of my favorites, which I've made a lot, is the curry onion tart. And I think all those years ago, I say all those years, but yeah, years ago, I think when I wrote this book, there was nothing like this in the market. Now you can find, kind of fusion-y stuff in UK, US. A lot of people have done. But when I wrote this book, it was not something, it wasn't a book you could find written as such. Lots of amazing Indian food, obviously, have been done for years and years, and baking separately. But just to combine fennel in a bake was so unusual. So yeah, it just makes me very happy that this was my first book. Yeah, I don't know why I'm saying it again, but it does make me really happy that I did something which wasn't done before. And yeah, that's what I've tried to do. Where even with Healthy Indian, there wasn't any Healthy Indian books when I wrote Healthy Indian, because just I think nobody had written about it. So yeah, it's been quite interesting to find something that's been missing and kind of try and educate people in my small way that I can. And I think, this did achieve that, I think.
I think so too. That's really special as well. Especially since I think in your introduction in Cardamom Trail, you talk about how you didn't really grow up with, you grew up with a tabletop or a countertop oven, but in Indian kitchens, there aren't ovens built in under the stove, like in Western kitchens. So, you had to go seek out that knowledge, you had to go try and experiment again, and then you obviously made it onto the Bake Off and triumphed there. And I think it's just an amazing and inspirational thing to see. So I think that it is about 11:30. So I think we should take some questions from the audience, if that will work for you. So first we have one from Vereen, which is, what do you wish everybody knew about your recipes that they might not know? And about yourself and about recipe development generally. So a big question.
Oh my God, that's a good question. I don't think that question's been ever asked before, ever. What did they know about my recipes? Wow. I don't know. I think I just want people to, oh God, I don't know if that's what I want them to know, but I think just nothing's difficult. And unless you try, I think you wouldn't know if you can do it. And they are really easy. Oh my goodness, I don't have the right answer for it, but I think I think Indian food is so approachable, so doable, so convenient, so easy. And I cannot say it enough how simple Indian food can be. Not all the Indian recipes I'm saying, but I don't know all the Indian recipes. I don't know all the Indian food. I know a lot of food where I come from, what I grew up with, but I'm still to learn so much more about Indian food. But I think just thinking that, yes, I can do this when you're eating at a takeaway or at an Indian restaurant, that it is definitely something you can make easily at home.
Absolutely. I think it's, if you, I mean, you wrote about it in 30-minute Indian. If you have all of your ingredients, sort of, if you read the recipe very well before you start cooking it, if you have sort of your mise en place around you, it's like any other recipe. I mean, if you just have what you need close to hand, it really does take 20 to 30 minutes. And it's amazing to see it all come together. So another question, what is the most unusual ingredient you've enjoyed cooking with? And on the flip side, what ingredients do you wish were more widely available?
Oh, I think one of the, I think ingredients wise, I think Indian vegetables are, some of the Indian vegetables are lovely to cook with. Like I love bitter gourd, which is Karela. So it's really bitter, as the name suggests. And I absolutely love it, but you can't find them in supermarkets here, at least not here. And you can find them in Asian supermarkets, but not every time you visit. So it's sometimes they'll have it, sometimes they won't have it. So that's something, I think I would think it should be, be able to grow here. I think that should be possible because it doesn't need extreme weather conditions. But I think things like that, I love bitter gourd and I love fresh fenugreek leaves. And I've recently shared a recipe. I've shared 2, 3 now, but I don't find it in the shops very often. But I love, because that's also a little bit bitter, but amazing. It tastes amazing with vegetables. It tastes amazing with chicken. It just is such a beautiful ingredient. You can find dry fenugreek a lot even in normal supermarkets. They've started selling it, which is not something they did before. But I think that's something, and another ingredient which I think, when I've shared the recipe, people have said, oh, I'm going to try growing it from the seeds, the seeds that you get in the spice box. And actually people have shared pictures with me where they've just sown some seeds in a tray and they've grown fresh fenugreek leaves inside in here, not in India, outside India. And I think, so that means it should be available here. So yeah, those two things I miss a lot, because okra you can find easily now in supermarkets. And yeah, that's something people, I know a lot of friends who say, oh, not okra, but actually okra is beautiful vegetable. It's just not cooked properly by so many people. And that it goes the same for aubergine, I guess. But yeah, those, fenugreek would be nice to have all the time.
Yeah, I think so too. That's amazing that someone was able to grow it and shared it with you. I think that's so wonderful. Yeah, I've only done curry leaves, but I should try fenugreek as well.
Oh, how's your curry leaf? Is it like a big plant or?
No, it's just it takes a lot. It needs a lot of water. So every day I have to give it some, and sometimes I forget. So it's kind of dying.
Every day. I only water
no.
mine once a week.
Oh, maybe I put it in a
Oh,
bad spot, but
oh
I'll
no.
align with you about. Oh, show us.
I know. Look.
Oh, they're doing beautifully. I'm doing something wrong then. I'm gonna ask you for some gardening advice after this
I was so
conversation.
I was so like determined to have a curry leaf plant because my mom has a
Yeah,
plant this big outside her
it's so
kitchen.
big. Yep.
I know, and most Indian homes who have got a few plants in the house have the curry leaf plant. And I was like, after 2, 3 failed attempts, I finally got it. So I keep a close eye. Is this doing all right? All right, yeah.
Yeah, I clearly yours is doing wonderfully. So I really have to get some gardening tips from you. So our next question from the audience. So since you started as a home baker and then became a recipe developer, how did you learn how to write recipes and eventually a cookbook?
I think the first time I actually wrote recipes was for Bake Off, because we had to develop our recipes. They had to be original, obviously. And that was kind of the first time I was like, okay, ingredients, method, and things like that. But after Bake Off got finished, after Bake Off was over, when I decided to do the book, I think I know it's not complicated, because it's just kind of, as you're doing it, you just have to write what you're doing. I think because you don't have to create words out of the air. It is literally what you're doing is what you're writing. So I think, like I said earlier, it was I learned on the job. So it was every day was, okay, what am I making? And then how would I put it in simple terms? Yeah, and I think you just get a hang of it quite quickly. So by the time the first book finished, I thought I could definitely write a recipe easily.
Did you have friends and family make your recipes as you were writing your books? I know sometimes some authors do that, just to make sure that, if somebody says that they don't know how to cook, that they come to your recipe, they can figure it out.
Actually, I had this discussion with another food writer recently, and I found out that not just her, but I know that a lot of people, like you said, have recipe testers in different parts of the country or whatever, and they send the recipes, they try and get the feedback. But somehow I have never ever done it. So I test the recipe. If I'm not confident, I test it again. And usually, by 2 goes, I know it is worked. And I think that is my worst fear if a recipe doesn't work, because I have got cookbooks, and now I have been working with cookbooks for 6 years. And I've met many editors, and I know magazine editors, book editors, and I know that it's not something that every author kind of takes note on. And a lot of times when magazines get recipes, 50% of the time they don't work at all. The rest 20%, they have to play with it. But so far, touch wood, I have made, that is one thing that I don't want people spending money on books and then the recipe not working, because that would be, I would not buy that author again. If I was a customer, I wouldn't buy that author's book again, because you spend a lot of money on ingredients and time and effort, and at the end of it, you're looking forward to eating that. And then imagine if it's not turned out how you thought it would. Oh my God, that would be a nightmare. So yeah, I think I just spend loads of time on it, but I've never actually given it to a recipe tester or any family and friends. They all have the book after it's come out, but they never get it before the book is out. And after talking to her, actually, I thought, if it's worked for me so far in 5 books, I think I'm too scared to change it now.
Oh yeah, everybody has a different process. I think, some people are very personal with the work that they do, and if they're very rigorous themselves, then and then it's a surprise to your family and friends when the book comes out, and then they can try all of your recipes as well, and you can cook for them in the meantime when you feel up to it. So this is kind of related, but what would you recommend to those who want to contribute to the food industry? Do you have any tips for becoming a cook and a food writer?
Yes, I think the biggest thing is you have to really enjoy what you do. And for me, 100% looking at the work around what people are doing, it has to also be true to yourself. So say tomorrow, if I start saying, I'm just going to do, I don't know, Italian food, that's it. And I'm just going to, I think it might not come very naturally to me. And I think because the food I talk about, I know it's inside, I don't know all Indian food, but the food I am sharing, I know kind of it from the core, just from the basics. And I think that's really important. I think you can, and I definitely don't follow trends, because that is another thing I would say, that just find I think find something that you're really passionate about is the beginning. Once you have found that, okay, there are people who just do cupcakes, for example, and they're just passionate about cupcakes. They just do cupcakes. Businesses are built of cupcakes, so it's finding that one thing that you feel very strongly about, know about, have the knowledge of, and then you can start from there. And I think next, I would think, once you have started, whatever you're doing, simplicity is the key for me. I think just simplicity is something that you will have people come back again and again if you keep it simple, because not everyone, is a great cook or has the knowledge or has the equipment. So you have to keep all those things in mind. Yeah, and I think if you just continue there, keep it simple is really, really important, I think. I might be totally wrong, but I do feel quite strongly about that stuff. And I just, even when I take pictures for Instagram, for example, I never use lights. And, if it's dark outside, I will just click it under this light. And I think, obviously, there are a lot of people doing this. Every shot is kind of a shot in a studio, which is absolutely fine, but it depends on what you want. But I just want I'm not a trained chef. I'm a home cook, and I want to keep it simple and make sure it comes across in my food that it is home cooking. So I think finding that thing that you're passionate about is very important.
I completely agree. I think cook what you know, write what you know, be true and true to your creativity. I think that all it really rings true, and I would encourage anybody getting started to do the same. So you're not totally wrong at all. In fact, you're totally right. This is actually a question about one of your previous books, Street Food. The question is, I really enjoyed your street food book. It seems very different than your others. How did you approach this book since you seem to be on location? And my addition to that is, how did you adapt it for home cooking?
I think that is one book I loved doing. As in, I love doing all of them, but that was, that was dream. That was dream. So after I did the Cardamom Trail, my publisher said, would you like to do another one? And they asked me what you would like to write the book about. And because of where I'm living and seeing around me, the kind of, when it comes to street food, people think it's samosa and chaat and that's it. And I thought, that's not it. I know that is the big part and that is the biggest part of street food, but that is not it. There's so much more. And it's because I saw that around, that people didn't know much about it. I said, I definitely want to do a street food book, and they were all up for it. Then India is such a big country, so many cuisines, so many different parts. And I thought, if I start writing about all over, then I'll be here all my life. So I thought, okay, I'm going to choose 4 places. So north, I went to Delhi. South, I went to Chennai, Bombay, and I went to east in Kolkata. And I thought, if I focus on 4 places, then it will give me, narrow it down, make it achievable. And then I thought, I'm not going to write this from my kitchen, because even I don't know about so much that is out there, because, I've been there, but I've not been as a foodie. I've been before I started working in food. So I went with the photographer, and we went for 2 weeks, and we spent 3-4 days in each city. And we literally, he, with his camera, and me with my notepad and book, because obviously I can speak Hindi. I had no problem anywhere. And so we literally just went around eating street food the whole time and just making notes. And to my surprise, not to my surprise, because I am born and brought up in India. So I knew people would be very willing to share. And most people, I think there were 2 street vendors who didn't tell me how it's made. But other than that, everyone was more than happy to share like a basic. Obviously, they won't like sit down and tell me, now put ghee, now put, but general how it's made. And it was so much fun. And then I think coming back to coming back home and trying to translate it into a book, again, keep it in simple. And I didn't have too much difficulty because actually street food is simple. They don't have much complicated stuff because they just literally have things, one pan and one bowl and lots of little bowls of spices. So it's not like they make it complicated. So I didn't have to do too much adjustment actually. And a funny story, because I kept telling my photographer, you can eat this, you can eat this. I was guiding him. Okay, you can eat this, you can't eat this. You can eat. And one day I kept telling him, no, you can't have fruit salad. You can't have fruit salad. And obviously in Calcutta, I think I came back to the hotel. He said, oh, I'm going to go and take some pictures. I said, okay. And he wanted, bloody ate the fruit salad, didn't he? Came back and next day he had an upset stomach, and I said, where did you go last night? And he said, it looks so nice. He cut it fresh in front of me, and I said, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Then he didn't touch what I told him not to touch. It was just I think I always go to India and enjoy all the street food. Obviously, specific things, leave the specific things which you can't really trust. But oh my God, street food is the best. Yeah. So that was quite a fun trip. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And just such different types and, different flavors and different, traditions and cuisines. That must have been a really, really fun project. So another couple of questions, and we have about 13 minutes left. So if anybody in the group has an additional question for Chetna, please drop it into the Q&A box. But one attendee asks, have you been watching the new season of Bake Off? Is there something you've enjoyed about it, or do you have a hard time watching it because you know what it's like and you know how stressful it is?
Oh no, I know how stressful it is, but it's such a joy seeing others in stress. It's not me whose cake is failing. No.
I know, there's something comforting about that.
But it's the whole idea is that it's not something I started watching after I went on it. So I was already a big fan of the show, which is why I went on it. And even after that, a couple of the bakers in my year stopped watching after our show because they just couldn't find it. They just didn't find it comfortable watching the show after that, which is fine, but I still love it. There was, I think, 1 year, maybe 3 years or 4 years ago, where I didn't watch till the end because by quarterfinals, all my favorites had gone out. So I thought, why am I? And the 3 people or 4 people, 5 people, I think they were left. And I wasn't a fan of any of them. So I stopped watching. But other than that, every year I watched, and this year I'm loving it because from the minute go, I just want to give a hug to Jürgen and Giuseppe and Chigs, and I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it.
Oh yeah, Jürgen is my number one. I'm the biggest Jürgen fan.
Me too.
He's oh my God, he's so funny. I don't think he knows that he's funny, which is the best part. One attendee is also asking, do you ever find yourself, strategizing what you would do for a certain challenge, or, when people are making the thing, contestants are doing it wrong, you're like, oh, no, you have to do this instead. Do you ever do that?
Not at all. I do not think what I would be doing in the tent again. Absolutely not. I think I just enjoy it. No strings attached kind of, let them, I never think, oh my God, would not, no. I do sometimes think, oh my God, that looks delicious. I will make it, but it's never happened that I've seen something on Bake Off. I think this looks like I think it was it last week that Jürgen made the showstopper with the sponges on the sides and filled it with all the loveliness inside. And actually they shared the recipe on BBC website. And I thought, okay, that's it. I really want to make that. I haven't done that yet. So yeah, I do like some of the bakes really, you know, they look so amazing that I want to make them, but not done that yet.
I mean, hopefully there's a rainy day soon so you can bake some of, try them out and family can enjoy. So just a last, I guess it's not a question, but Vareen just wants to say thanks a million. She loves cooking Indian food and absolutely loves cooking your recipes. So she is saying thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying them.
So I think we are out of audience questions unless anybody has anything else that they want to ask. Sort of our last call, although I could sit here talking to you the whole day, truly.
No, this has been so much fun. This has been so lovely talking to you too. And I can see it's sunny outside.
Yeah, it's really taken a turn. I'm apologize for this.
No, it's no, God,
sudden
no, I
light.
wouldn't apologize for sunshine any day. It's been raining all day here, so that's quite nice to see that it's nice and sunny there.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, wish you were both here, enjoying it with us.
Yeah, rainy and windy here too, Chetna. So, Seattle and London sort of weather, or the UK at least, sort of weather siblings, I think, sometimes. Thank you so much, both of you. This was so delightful. So, yes, we've re-released the Cardamom Trail, Chetna's 30-minute Indian. Yay. Both available at booklutter.com. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Chetna, congratulations on your book, your new book, and your re-release first book. So looking forward to cooking from it over the holidays, especially. And Brinda, thank you so much for your time today. It was just a pleasure listening to the two of you chat. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And thank you, Brinda, for your time. And it was lovely talking to you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your weekends and stay safe and healthy. Bye.
Bye. Bye. All.